Hi, Can here, and today I wanted to share with you how I made my Christmas cards for this year. It was kind of a fun little project. These aren't done perfectly, but I wanted a little something that would fit nicely in a nice normal small size envelope and like be around a 4 by 6 inch size, but be something a little special for my patrons as well as friends and family that I send cards to. And so I had the idea of a fold up card. I'd seen these fold up cards like in the store and thought that was a fun idea. So I thought I'd come home and try to figure out my own idea of how to make one. And this is what I came up with. So just thought I would share with you the making of that. It's just a simple little card and can sit on a shelf if anyone so chooses, and has a place I can put a message on the back, and there it is. It's an envelope. So you want to see how I made it? Just follow along. So I got too excited to get started and forgot to start recording. So here I am jumping in. I've already sketched out my design in pencil on watercolor paper. I'm actually making this bigger than I want the end result to be because things always look nicer if you make them a little bigger and then shrink them down to what you actually want them to be. So that's my strategy with this. And I'm using gouache to paint this. I just recently got some new gouache. I actually got some gouache in Italy. And so primarily this is gouache. There's a little watercolor mixed in too, and I'm thinning down the gouache quite a bit to behave as more like watercolor. So that is one thing I love about gouache. You can thin it and use it like watercolor, or use it thicker for a more opaque look. I've not planned out this piece very well, so I'm just kind of auditioning some different colors here, building up layers, getting a little darker. I decided something more like the feeling of maybe a night or dusk scene might be better, so I'm just darkening up this sky background a little bit here, kind of just figuring things out as I go on this piece. I do have a general idea. I sketched it out with pencil, but the details are still kind of in flux, so just playing around with it as I go. I want to end up with kind of a loose, painterly look, rather than I tend towards, I guess, more illustrations that are more defined lines, and I often do a lot of ink lines, and I'm just hoping for a little bit softer look with this, so I'm trying to keep it pretty loose as I go. I'm just slightly adjusting the greens as I go, kind of shifting the colors, adding a little more blue here, maybe a little bit more red to neutralize it a bit there, just so there's some slight color shifts in that. I'm also not painting any layer as a solid color. I'm leaving lots of little white space showing that I will go back and add more paint to as I go. I know I'm going to want to put some words in this area, so I'm kind of want to leave it a little lighter, a little vague. I'm pulling out my watercolor palette and my little art toolkit palette, and I just have been using this in my home studio, not just for travel. It's just so handy. But I'm pulling it out to add a little bit of like that phthalo blue in there with the green, some of this new gamboge yellow in there with it too, and just kind of giving me a little bit of color variety in this. I decided to put the star at the bottom, which is a little bit of a change up on this, but I thought, well, then it's more hidden by the flaps when it's closed. So I'm kind of making sure I get my glow in there and get that area reserved for some shining light down below, and I thought that would be fun. This is kind of to represent the Christ child, and rather than doing like a manger, I'm representing him as that star there below. And I will have hopefully some cute little animals kind of clustered around looking at this shining light. Adding in some tree trunks here, just kind of trying to decide how these are going to be represented. I know I'm going to have some little animals there in the center near the star, and just kind of figuring out how I want to imply this forest area surrounding it. Going back and adding more of the sky in, trying to figure out where the sky goes and where the snowy area goes. I want this to have like kind of a woodsy, woodland feel to it. Now I'm starting to paint in those little animals. I have this little bear here. I'm using the watercolor and trying to just let it granulate a bit to add some texture. Again, trying to stay a little bit loose with this and just letting it look a little primitive and unpolished and handmade, I guess. I'm really drawn to foxes, so I have to include one of those. We see one occasionally on the road that we live on, and always I think it's kind of fun to see them. And for some reason, they just seem like a very attractive animal to me. So, and I don't know anything that much about their behavior, but I do really like how they look. Next to the fox, I wanted to have a little possum, partly because I don't feel like they get represented very often. We have a lot of possum around here. They're not really thought of in a real favorable light. So somehow to have them in the scene as well seemed kind of meaningful. Also doing a cute little bunny just because they're another animal that I just love to illustrate, and often include a rabbit shape comes easily to me. So I'm kind of doing some comfort critters in this illustration. I'm trying to get it done fairly quickly. I have a limited time frame to get it accomplished in. So I'm trying to not be spend too much time deliberating and just do it. Have been kind of this year practicing the idea that perfect is the enemy of done, and sometimes it's more important to get things done than to worry about doing them perfectly. So I've really been trying to practice a bit of that. There's most things in life doesn't matter if they're not perfect. There's some things that are really important, but not everything we do has to be perfect, and that can get in the road of us actually doing anything, especially in our creativity. Now that I generally have everything painted, I'm going back and adding some contrast of value in there, making some darker areas, adding on another layer. I've used a Lyra pencil in night green to add a little more depth or a little more definition in there. And now I'm going back in with some more paint, adding a little bit more dark contrast. I'm adding some simple script words here. And then I'm just ready for some finishing touches. I'm cautiously using a brown Tombow pen to add some more definition to the animals. I don't want to overdo it, but I do want them to stand out a little bit more. I'm adding water to those marker lines though to kind of blend them out a little bit and keep the look a little softer. Okay, so here I am with my finished piece, and I decided to finish off the rest of it digitally. I also wanted to resize it. I did this on this nice watercolor paper, so what I did is scanned this in, pieced it together, put these little trees from the front side also onto the back side. So this is what the back ended up looking like. I put my little message here, my logo, for Some of my personal ones, I'll put our little Christmas letter, or I can write something on here, whatever. And then I obviously made it a lot smaller because two things. I wanted it to fit on a regular size piece of paper, so I printed it double-sided. And I also wanted it to fit in a small envelope, the same size of envelope that would fit the 4x6 postcards that I normally mail out. So I have this that will fit in those. And I have my little fold-up Christmas greeting card. So I did a little, could have been a little more careful about some things. If I made another one, I could make some improvements. But to this point, I'm fairly happy with that. So let me know what you think. Do you make your own Christmas cards? What kind of unique projects do you do for the holidays? All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.